Happy Teacher Talk Tuesday, y'all. Teacher O here, and I am really excited to get started having these weekly conversations with y'all about my classroom and maybe what's going on in y'all's classroom, so that we can have an opportunity to just think through what's going on in the teacher world, because these conversations, where are they happening? Put me in those directions if you could put me on, because I want us to be more connected and tapped in. So let's do it. First of all, let's get into the... Okay, hi. So, first let's get into the space. We are in my little corner of workspace. I'm glad to join y'all from this couch. Maybe sometimes with Pebbles, maybe sometimes not. Okay, so she might hang for a little bit, but I'm really interested in talking about the experience of going into testing season. So it's March, and for some folk in some states, schools have their state exams in March. Some states have their state exams in April. Some states have their state exams in May, depending on if it is ELA, math, depends on the date. And we also have designated grades that do it. So whether it's 3rd, 4th, 8th, the testing grades are usually a high emphasis. So like, if you've heard about the NAEP scores and how our nation's report card and how, oh my gosh, we're in crisis because our grades are worse than before. Yeah, I agree. And I think that it would be really helpful to have a closer look into what goes into classrooms that make the teacher experience and also the student experience. We know we're coming out of on the heels of the pandemic. We know that we have one of the biggest mental health crises in our nation's, documented in our nation's experience. And so that goes for students as well as teachers. Students are stressed out, testing anxiety left and right, and teachers are the ones that are there day in and day out, face to face and moment by moment with students as they're experiencing these things, responding and reacting, and sometimes causing that stress and anxiety. I want to first frame this with a conversation about my classroom. So I teach at a charter school in Brooklyn, and in my classroom, we are currently in our 7th week of test prep. We began the day after MLK Day, and we're going until April 20th when we take the ELA state exam. Yeah, I know, intense. And one of the things that I've been battling with in particular is the idea of the point of diminishing returns, where for me as a teacher, I know that the goal here is to make sure that we are improving student performance and test scores. But at the same time, I recognize that there is a lot more to learning than just their standardized testing experience. And so I think about all those other parts that are also really important to have be present in an ELA classroom or any classroom for that matter, beyond what state assessments might add to the student experience. And so some of the things that come to mind that are really important to consider: Pebble, stop eating my plants. I just bought some flowers and she wants to eat them. I think about what is that return that we're looking for from this investment in test prep time and focusing on testing conditions and getting kids acclimated to them. And I'm like, at what point is it too much? At what point is it no longer effective? Pebbles done went back to my flowers, so I'm gonna just move them. I put them in this watering can because I needed to keep them hydrated and all that until I get into my classroom tomorrow. Because, sometimes you just need a pick-me-up, and I sure did. And these are just going to be in frame for the rest of our Teacher Talk Tuesday today. I'm really interested in finding out how test prep looks in other people's classrooms. For me right now, students are using a packet, a lesson for at least 4 out of the 5 days. 1 day a week, typically the Friday, which is our 30-minute period. It's like a flex day where we can do different activities that are not prescribed by the curriculum team of my network. And I think that that is when I see my students at their most vibrant, their most engaged. And I do think about, okay, so what is my part in making test prep engaging for kids? And at the same time, how reasonable is that of an expectation for test prep to be engaging every day for 4 to 5 lessons a week for 12 weeks? And so I imagine that, there might be factors outside of what is one teacher's capacity to make something engaging that are worth considering as we make these decisions. But again, teachers aren't the ones making these decisions, but they are the ones being asked to carry them out and implement them. So I'm wondering, like, what does test prep look like in your classrooms? Do you have a say in what test prep implementation and planning looks like? What are your feedback channels where you can give feedback on test prep decisions? And also, what about student voice? In what ways are students involved in the discussions for test prep and anything for that matter about their school experience? Because one thing that comes to mind for me is how in a lot of youth organizations there's a mantra that says nothing about us without us is for us. And so I think, who is test prep for if it is not with kids in that decision-making process? And I'm not talking, our pre-K, kindergarten, third grader, though they also have valuable perspective and insight to share. But I'm talking about, getting their experience, not making them the whole decision maker, but considering their perspective and gathering their input. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, and I'm really excited to keep having these conversations. So please share, drop your insights, answer the question. Again, what does test prep look like in your school, in your classroom, for your kids? And is there a way for student voice to be factored into decision making where you are? So again, Teacher Talk Tuesday, have a good one, and hopefully